Has it sunk in for you yet? Has it sunk in for you that Joshua Thomas Sargent remains a Norwich City Football Club player? I don't think it's sunk in for me yet. And please excuse me for the incoming content all around Josh Sargent, because I don't know about you, but I want to keep speaking about him. He's one of my favourite Norwich players in recent history. Josh Sargent is staying at this football club after a busy, long, stressful transfer window where he was linked with quite a lot of clubs. Wolfsburg, the main. Norwich had a bid accepted for about 22, 23 million quid. Josh Sargent pulled out of that deal to remain at Norwich City. He was, if he wanted to, had the ability to move clubs, had the ability to go to the Bundesliga. There was interest from the Premier League. He didn't want it. He chose to stay at Norwich, and it's been the first we've heard from him really since deadline day. It's the 3rd of September now, so there's not been a huge amount of time has passed. He's currently on international duty with the United States. I think that we've got Pochettino to thank for a lot in keeping him at the football club. I think the fact that he's been reselected ahead of a huge kind of season and then leading into the World Cup for him, and of course he'll want to be playing for his national team going into a home World Cup, so that's going to be crucial for him. And the fact that he's managed to get himself back into the squad, I think is really critical. He spoke. He said that there's always interest from multiple clubs. Obviously, in the end, it didn't work out, but that's football sometimes. There's quite a few things going on. A lot of decisions had to be made, not just for myself, but for my family overall. I think we spoke about that, didn't we? Let's not forget that Sargent has a wife, Sargent has kids. They have been in Norwich for a good few years now, and those kids would have been raised in Norwich. And we know, if nothing else, that Norwich is a very good place to raise children. And I think that has to be factored in here as well. He said, I think I'm in a good spot at Norwich. I'm in a place where I know I can score goals, which is, of course, is important going into the World Cup. I've had a good start to the season, so hopefully I can continue that form throughout the season and keep scoring goals. Well, that's an understatement. He scored 6 goals in 5 games in all competitions, 5 in 4. He's the top scorer in the Championship. He has been absolutely majestic, has scored in every single game he has played for Norwich City. And look, could have probably had a few more at the weekend. He scored twice and missed a couple of decent chances. He has really developed as a player notably over the last kind of 12 months. He's bulked up. He can spin defenders really nicely. He can get on the shoulder. He is the complete number 9. He can head, both feet, sharp finisher, hold up play, brings others into it. He's got it all. He is the complete forward at Championship level. And I think the key quote in there is that he knows he can score goals. He is at a place where he knows he can score goals. Yes, a move to Wolfsburg into the Bundesliga. It's a bigger league than the Championship, of course. But Wolfsburg finished pretty poorly last season. Are Wolfsburg a bigger club than Norwich? I'll leave that up to you. But there's not a guarantee of goals. Will he have even started every week? Probably, but there's not a guarantee. He knows that at Norwich, he is basically the captain alongside Kenny McLean. He's guaranteed to start when fit, and he will be given enough chances in a league that he knows he can conquer. I think the fact that he, if it is a big if, stays fit, he can kind of guarantee himself 20 goals. At least. That, I think, is enough to put you on the radar, to put you in the squad for the United States team. And I think ultimately that, of course, career progression and club progression, I suspect if we don't get promoted this season, this will definitely be his last. He's 25 years old now. I think he's coming into his prime, and I think he's raised a few eyebrows with his starts this season. And I'm going to say it now because the transfer window's done, and I'm not I'm not trying to sell him. And even if I was, the transfer window's done. But I'll say it now. I cannot believe that Leeds, but in particular Leeds, didn't make more of an effort to sign Josh Sargent. I mean, it's baffling. They didn't have a great transfer window. They brought in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who'll be on big wages. They could have got a man that Daniel Farke loves, adores. It's Daniel Farke to thank that we've got Sargent here anyway. He was the one that pushed him through when we signed him. It wasn't Webber. It was Farke that wanted Sargent here. And he got him. And yes, it didn't start very well in the Premier League, and I think that has probably skewed a few Leeds fans' thoughts on Sargent. I was listening to some Leeds, my good friend Conor McGilligan at One Leeds, who I respect dearly, but he was saying that he doesn't rate Josh Sargent. I mean, that is a mental take. He could have cut it in the Premier League, I've got no doubt about that, but I don't care. They didn't want him, fine, we'll keep him. Burnley could have done a job there, could have definitely done a job in the Bundesliga, had the move there if he wanted it, but turned it down. He's obviously in the Pochettino stateside now. He says, I'd probably be lying if I didn't think about it. Of course, I know it's been a while. I'm doing well at club level at the moment. I just keep reminding myself of how well I'm doing there. I know I can score goals, and I know it's just a matter of time that I'm going to score for the national team. I'm just going to put my head down and keep working hard, and I know the goals will come. I mean, it's funny, isn't it, football? Because ultimately, the concern now turns from does Josh Sargent stay at Norwich City to does Josh Sargent remain fit in the international window? And that's a good concern to have, because it means that he's meeting his objectives at wanting to get into the stateside. I would be absolutely delighted if Norwich can get promoted this season thanks to Josh Sargent, and then Sargent goes to the World Cup and scores a hatful of goals for the States. I would be delighted. That would be the ultimate reward for this season. And he deserves it. He's grafted, this lad. He is properly grafted. He's remained professional. He's got his head down, and he's just stuck it out. He's developed. I mean, remember that first campaign in the Premier League with Sarge? The miss against Brighton. I mean, he looked a poor player, right? And yes, he was out of position, but he was young, and that could have crippled, and it will have crippled most players in that position. I mean, you look at the amount of young players we've had that we've signed in the Premier League, it hasn't worked out. You never hear about them again. It's been different with Sargent. And I thought I'd put on screen here, there somewhere, what I think going into this first international break, what I think the kind of strongest 11 is. And I think the defence kind of picks itself, I think. I have Fisher in there over Stacey, although I know that Manning likes Stacey. I think Rosene's really come along, and I think he's probably the strongest left-sided player. I think Darling and Medic kind of pick themselves. There will maybe be some shouts for Cordoba, but he's also kind of a left centre-back, isn't he? I think Topic and McLean is probably the two central midfielders. Obviously, Marcelino Hunes is no longer here. So McLean, I think, is the best fit next to Topic. There might be some controversy with this 3 and behind the striker. And I've gone for a 4-2-3-1. I think that's how we look most balanced. I don't love the 5 at the back, I'll be honest. I know that Manning's quite fluid with how he thinks about this. So I think he's got a little bit frustrated with the amount of chatter around formations. But I think that this is the best setup from what I've seen so far. It was nice to hear from Ante Cianats in the week. He did an interview with the Pinken. He's a humble lad, isn't he? And I hope it works out for Ante. He's been ineffective, I'll be honest, this season so far. And I think deep down, both him and Chris Gordon will have wanted to play in that number 9. They've got no choice now. They're not going to start in the number 9 ahead of Josh Sargent. So they're going to have to settle for what they can get. And maybe Manning tries to change the system a little bit to get either Ante or Chris Gordon further forwards and more centrally. But I don't mind Chris Gordon in the kind of 10 false 9 position. And then Cianats out on the right hand side. You've obviously got Mate Jurisic as well, who can play there. We saw a half or 45 minute decent performance from him in the cup, and maybe there is a player in there, but I'm not going to get too caught up on that one at the moment. And then Papa Amadou Diallo picks himself in left wing. So, early stages, yes, we've seen a month of football. But I think that, for me, is the strongest 11 so far. I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts. I think on the whole, as we sit here and the transfer window shut and the dust can settle a little bit, I've not been too upset with the way that the season started. I mean, the away form has been superb. The defeats to Millwall and Borough, there were glimpses of what we can see under Manning in there. We obviously need to see those kind of extrapolated out and the decent showings, put across a full 90 minutes. But I think Manning will be fairly content with what he's seen so far. Yes, there's a lot to do, and yes, there's a lot to build, but I'm fairly content with what I've seen. Sargent is staying. I think the big thing was him getting back into that United States side, and the fact that he knows that he can now get into that side from playing for Norwich, which is huge. And let's just try and get promoted, and let's try and keep hold of him. That's the aim now. And with that 11, I think we've got a chance. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.